Hello, and welcome to I Scream, You Scream, your weekly scoop of the most chilling histories, mysteries, and paranormal perplexities. My name's Gina.
And I'm Kathryn.
And it's finally Amusement Park month. We've been waiting for this one for a while. This whole month was chosen by our friends on Patreon. So thank you so much, friends. We really appreciate it. And to accompany this wonderful topic, we will be having churro flavored ice cream in homage to our favorite amusement park treat. Oh, what's that sound? It's me, desperately counting down the days until I can retire from my day job. And if you, like me, can't wait to stop toiling for the man, you gotta make sure your money is invested so it grows for you. And who better to help with that than Clobear Money Coach, this episode's sponsor. If you're ready to start investing, but not really sure how to get started, go to getlazynow.com. In the meantime, grab a spoon and let's dig in.
So I had a plan for my churro ice cream, and that got foiled. So I had a backup plan, and that too got foiled.
Oh, no.
And so now we are on plan 3, which is just more whiskey ice cream from last month sprinkled with cinnamon sugar.
It's going to become the new sherbet tub.
Yeah. Well, the good news is it's not as big, so which I still have that rainbow sherbet in my freezer because I can't bring it's so wasteful. I can't bring myself to throw it away. I'm gonna see if my niece wants it or something like that.
Yeah, that's a good idea. And it's now the time of year where sherbet really does hit the spot because it's super hot out.
Yeah. What's yours?
Mine was a bit of a saga. I thought there's no way I'm going to be able to get churro ice cream in the UK. I'm going to have to make it myself. Out of curiosity, I just Googled churro ice cream to see if there was anything that I could just buy. Turns out Ben & Jerry's just released a churro flavored ice cream. So Tom took me to 5 different stores trying to find this ice cream because the day that we went looking for it also coincided with our first heat wave of the year. And so not only was all of the ice cream sold out everywhere, but also all of the freezers were broken because the UK is not built for heat. And so the freezers just give up.
I never thought of that.
Yeah. And so eventually we did find it, and it is good. It does not beat a normal churro, but it is good.
Yeah. Good. Yeah, so I think it was just last night or the night before, Phil was asking what we were doing for this month, and I told him that we were doing churro ice cream, and his face dropped. I was like, what the hell? Because he loves churros, so I thought he was going to be excited about it. And he had just been at the grocery store that day to get stuff for dinner. And he was like, I saw churro ice cream at the store and I almost got it for you, but I didn't he didn't want to get it because he knows basically I'm the ice cream buyer of the house because the only ice cream we have is for this. He was like, I didn't want to get it without knowing what you were doing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but it was the Ben & Jerry's ice cream.
It is good.
Yeah, kind of same deal. He was like, I had no idea it existed. I was really excited, blah, blah, blah. But yeah, so now maybe I'll have him grab that for... Oh my God, wait, it's been a long time since we ate the same thing. Should I just have him get that for my next?
I vote, yeah. I can't remember the last time we had the same thing. Down to the brand.
I don't know why it took me so long to get here. I think it was literally last time we did a Ben & Jerry's.
I think so. So that would have been...
I'll have him grab it. I can also
a long
just grab
time
it
ago.
myself. I don't know why I need him to do it, but yeah.
Actually, while we're talking about ice cream and it being hot, quick heads up, it is still very, very hot here right now, and the UK does not have air conditioning. So out of necessity, I've left my window open. And so if you do hear more background noise than normal, which I know is so rare for me anyway, but if you do hear anything, my apologies. I'll have a heat stroke otherwise.
Tisn't a ghost.
Yeah.
It's just the neighbors. Speaking of ghosts, I had an experience this week.
Do tell more.
Not necessarily a ghost experience, but an experience nonetheless. So I stayed with Chloe at the Pfister one night this week, and some weird things happened. Yes, Cinnamon agrees. So first and foremost, it was lovely. I've been there many times, but I've never stayed there because I live in Milwaukee. There's no reason for me to stay there. So we did a little staycation situation. And first and foremost, so she got us a suite, which was
Nice.
impeccable. It was so lovely. Turns out when you rent a suite, they offer you a glass of champagne upon check-in, which I didn't know.
Okay.
I know, exactly. It was great. Immediately, I was like, oh my God, I love this. 5 stars, right? Like, we can leave. This is like peak experience. So we checked in, and all of a sudden, the fire alarm starts going off. And we were like, oh, ha ha ha, how funny. Like, something weird happens right when we almost said moved in, right when we check in. So at first we were like, oh, maybe this is going to be a spooky stay. Then all of a sudden, we notice a bus full of very tall men coming into the lobby. We were like, oh, those are the baseball players, because there had been a baseball game that day. So I was like,
Nice.
I'm truly getting like the full Pfister experience right now. Like, so we're just standing in the lobby watching all these guys, like, because they kind of cleared the area and they were like calling security, like, to let them get in and go to their suites or whatever. So we're thinking, okay, maybe they sound the alarm when the famous people come. I don't know.
That would be ridiculous. That'd be
Isn't
so
that the
funny.
most ridiculous thing? Because it literally had a recording saying like head to the nearest exit, blah blah blah. So that wouldn't make
Okay.
sense
Yeah.
for them to sound the alarm when they're trying to clear the exits, right?
Right.
But we're dumb little idiots, and I'm like halfway through my champagne. So we're like, oh, that makes sense. That's all it was. So we go to the club room and we're like, talking about, oh, maybe we'll have an experience, blah, 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 just hanging out. It was lovely. Went to Mason Street Grill. Lovely. Just a lovely experience. This is hashtag not sponsored for the Fister. I just highly recommend staying there. It's such a great time. So then we're up in the room at night and we're like chilling on the couch, chatting before bed. And like I said, we're in a suite. So there's a little living room area and then a doorway to the right that goes into the bedroom and bathroom. And we're sitting there. I'm sitting on the right. She's on the left on the couch. And we're facing the doorway that goes into the bedroom. So the doorway is to my right a little bit. And I start telling her about experiences that we had in New Orleans. I was telling her like about the reading that I got and the ghost experiences and just all the spooky stuff. And I'm not going to go into the nitty gritty of what we were talking about, but all of a sudden I felt, I don't know how to describe it. I felt like tingles on the top of my head, and it felt like they went like, like my hairs stood up like this. I don't know how to describe it, but it felt like a circle of goosebumps, just like, and at the exact moment that happened, out of the corner of my eye, I swear on my soul, I swear I saw a man walking into the room.
Ooh.
And I was sitting there and she was talking at that point, and I just go and like look at the doorway, and immediately she's like, what happened? What just happened just now? And she's like freaking out. And I didn't tell her at first because I was like, I don't know, at this point I'm several glasses of champagne later. So I'm like, I don't know, maybe I'm just like having too good of a time. I don't know. I was like, I swear I thought I just saw something, but it's probably nothing. And she said there was a mirror just beyond the doorway, and she said that throughout the conversation she kept thinking she was seeing things move in the mirror.
Ugh.
But didn't want to say anything because she was, again, it was late at night and we were chatting and it was a long day, and so both of us were seeing things but didn't really want to say anything to the other one. All of this we're kind of explaining away. So we get into bed. Immediately after we get into bed, the fire alarm goes off again. It's like 1:45 in the morning.
Oh my God.
And we're like, that's super weird. I don't know, it's very strange. And we go out into the hallway and nobody is there. Nothing is happening. And we had an internal room. So from our windows, I could see across the way to the other people's rooms. And this is the weird part. This is the part that made me like, this might be a strange experience. I looked out the window and none of the other rooms that I could see across the way had like a flashing light.
It was
Like
just
that
yours?
coincides with the alarm. Yeah. I don't know. Maybe I just couldn't see it because our lights were flashing, but I literally couldn't see anything coming from any of the other rooms. And I don't know. It gave weird vibes. Like we were very like something just feels a little off. And then, so we're laying in bed and both of us were kind of tossing and turning. The energy in the room felt, I don't want to say heavy. It wasn't like bad or negative. It just felt thick. Like I felt like I was too scared to open my eyes because I felt like if I opened my eyes, I was going to see someone. Like I just felt, you know, that
Hmm.
feeling where like someone's
Yeah.
very close to you. I was like, I don't want to open my eyes because I feel like someone's going to be right in my face if I do. And I could see Chloe tossing and turning all night. So I asked her in the morning, like, what was that all about? Were you just having trouble sleeping or like what? And she said that she had the weirdest experience, like, as far as just like, I don't know how to describe it. Basically, she heard my voice in her head like
Oh.
multiple times throughout the night. Um, and she's very much like you. Like she's had so many experiences and then she'll talk about them and I'm like, yeah, that's an experience. And she's like, no, it might just be, I don't know, it's probably something else. So I do think we had a little psychic moment. She also said that she felt what it felt like someone pinched her toe at one
Ugh.
point. Yeah. And she was like, that's probably when you saw me like flopping around in bed. I'm like, yeah, that's definitely what that was. But she also described something similar as far as the energy. She was wearing an eye mask and she said she felt like if she was going to take off the eye mask, all the lights would be on. Like it felt very bright in there. Um, the other thing, and this one kind of freaked me out, but when I first laid down, before the alarm went off or anything like that, because it went off probably like 15 minutes after we laid down to go to bed. When I first laid down, I had a very difficult time breathing. Like I was kind of starting to feel a little panicked because I didn't have my inhaler with me. That one, like, 'tis the season. I should have had my inhaler with me because, like, allergy season, I get a little weird breath wise. So, like, it could have just been that. But we were talking about it, and the fact that I was struggling to breathe and the fire alarm kept going off. If you all remember what happened on the grounds before the Fister was the Fifster,
Burned down.
it burnt down in a fire.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
Ooh. Okay.
Yeah.
What floor were you on? Did you say already?
The fifth. I don't remember
Fifth,
if there was
okay.
anything with the floor numbers, though. I have to
I
look
was
back
just
at my notes. I
being
don't remember.
nosy.
Yeah.
I just wanted to
Yeah,
know.
it was. I had the hardest time remembering our floor number, or our room number. It was just 543, which is incredibly easy to remember. Anyway, that was it. It could have all of everything that happened could have been explained away. I don't know if we were just scaring ourselves or if it was actually weird.
What the hell was up with that fire alarm? Did it eventually just stop going off and you guys just went back to sleep? Or like, did
Yeah,
anyone come
yeah.
and knock in? Like,
No, there definitely was no fire. There wasn't. Yeah, it just stopped after a few minutes.
that's really, really weird.
Yeah, I don't know.
You would, okay. All right.
Yeah. And nobody was reacting or anything.
Because you would assume, I don't know how this shit works, but I would assume that in a big hotel, especially a really nice one, but I'm assuming all of them, the fire alarms in each room are attached to each other so that if there's a fire in
Right.
one room, the room down the hallway gets the
Mhm.
alarm going off too so they can get out,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah. And the
So
lights
like,
were flashing in our hallway, but like
okay.
just in the hallway. Like I didn't see it in any of the other rooms,
You know what I
like
find
across
really
the way.
funny? How both times the fire alarm went off in this story, it sounds like nobody made any effort to like get out.
Nobody reacted in any way whatsoever.
It's kind of funny.
Nobody responded in any way.
That's
Which
odd.
I'm like, okay. And yet you all act like you're not haunted, but you know not to pay attention to things like this. The
Yeah.
only options are ghost and faulty electrical situations, which like gotta get that fixed, Fister, if that's the situation. Gotta figure that out, buddy.
Also, way
Yeah.
more fun to think it was a ghost. Ugh, don't love that though. That sounds like a kind of scary experience.
It was weird. I mean, yeah, it was a little bit weird. It wasn't bad though. Like none of the
Okay.
energy we felt at all was bad. It just was weird.
Okay. Interesting. Well, speaking of weird energy,
Yes.
you've given me a small taste of what today's story is going to feel like. I've gotten the
Yeah.
impression it has weird energy.
I was gonna say this one, I'm about to tell you a story with bad old energy.
Okay. Okay, got it. Oh, gosh.
Listen, you know what else has bad vibes? Summer.
I
Sorry.
mean, summer does
Truly.
kind of
Yeah,
suck.
fuck summer. Although, well, whatever, that's a rabbit hole. Okay, so it's officially summer vacation, which means we're heading out to our first amusement park of the month. We're gonna have 4. Love it for us. This week, we are headed to Mercer County, West Virginia, specifically the unincorporated town called Rock. Current population approximately 3,000, which is twice the size as the town I grew up in. Fun fact about me. The nearest large town to this area is Princeton. It's one of those like cute little historic downtown type places. Moral of the story, small town West Virginia vibes in this story. Amongst the rolling hills of Appalachia, there sits a small lake named Lake Shawnee, and surrounding the lake is the remains of a park called Lake Shawnee Amusement Park. The park was built in 1926 by a man named Conley Trigg Snidow? I don't know, but a whole lot
The
of
name
sounds that
Sniddow.
don't sound like names. Senior, he's a senior. Anyway, he bought the land and developed the park, which was one of the biggest developments Mercer County had seen at the time. It had a swimming pool, a racetrack, a dance hall, multiple concession stands that sold everything from peanuts to popcorn and cotton candy. Which, fun fact, I don't know if you know this, maybe you do. I'm just late to the party. When I learned this while researching for this episode, when cotton candy was first invented, it was originally called fairy floss. Did you know that?
I
And a lot
didn't
of
know that,
regions
but
still call it that.
they call it
A lot
candy
of
floss here.
Okay, I know. I
Interesting.
looked it up, and I think South Africa still calls it fairy floss. And there are a few other countries like across the world that still call it that. We call it cotton candy. How boring is that?
I know. Who made that decision? This
I don't
Snitterson
know.
guy. What was his name?
I don't know.
Sneedo? Sorry.
Conley Trigg Snidow. I don't know. Okay. The park also had cabins right on the grounds so people could come into town and stay for, the night or a long weekend or whatever. Basically make a summer trip out of it if they wanted to. And the park's biggest claim to fame was the giant mechanical swing ride that it had and a Ferris wheel, which was a big deal because at the time, this Ferris wheel was the first of its kind in the area. And shout out to whatever episode we talked about the World's Fair in Chicago, because that's where Ferris wheels were invented.
The Congress.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, yeah, my episode. Sorry. I'm doing my best, guys. It's been such a long week, month. I don't know. It doesn't matter. Anyway, so people were excited about this amusement park. And they'd come from far and wide to get a chance to ride these rides because they, like I said, they were the first of the kind, the only ones in the area. And the park largely catered to coal mining families. Mercer County was huge in coal mining, and there wasn't a ton of money in coal mining, at least not for the miners actually mining the coal. So families in the area really weren't used to having like vacations in general or just kind of leisurely hangout type things that they could actually enjoy. So this was a big deal. All of this is to say the park was very successful and very popular right from the jump, right when it opened, but it was not without its tragedies. Content warning, I will be discussing child death starting now and kind of throughout the rest of the episode. In 1927, right after the park opened, a young girl named Emmeline Schrader which great name. Love the name Emmeline.
Mm-hmm.
She was estimated to be around 10 to 12 years old, and she died while spinning on the swing ride. It is said that while she was sitting in one of the swings and it was, spinning around in the circle, as it does, the moment her swing was kind of coming around, a delivery truck was backing up and overshot the gas, and they collided into each other.
Oh my
It
God.
was horrendous. Yeah. I will say the validity of the story is sometimes disputed because no one seems to be able to find official death records for her. With that being said, I will immediate devil's advocate and say the West Virginia law that made officially recording a person's death mandatory had only gone into effect a few years prior to her death. So it is possible that there, were just some clerical kinks, or organization was still a little weird and things just got lost, as they do. I'm always a little skeptical of saying something absolutely wasn't true if it happened before, like the Great Depression, really, because shit got lost a lot back in the day. So just because we are unable to find her death records doesn't necessarily mean that they don't exist. We do have a name for the story, and, it is likely that her death record could have just gotten lost, or it just never existed at all. It's also possible that it does exist and it's just difficult to find. Like, it could be not digitized or something like that. Who knows? I don't know. I couldn't find it. A lot of people on the internet say they can't find it. Doesn't mean it doesn't exist. Doesn't mean the story's not real. If anyone out there does have any documents or know anything about it, more so than what I could find on the interwebs, please let us know. I am curious to know more about her and see if it actually is provable. There is documentation, however, for another death that happened at the park. It was another child named George Wythe. He died at the park several years later. George was at Lake Shawnee with his family in 1966, and on July 3rd, he got his arm stuck in the drain pipe while swimming in the pool and subsequently drowned.
Oh,
Yeah.
God.
I know. Both of these are just horrifically tragic.
And those are both like worst fears in both of those scenarios. Like those little chair
exactly.
rides, and then also in pools. I was terrified of both of them as a kid.
Oh, for sure. Yeah. This was the second one at the park. And the park closed the following year due to failed health inspection. So apparently completely unrelated to this death. Some versions of the story make it seem like it, this child died and then they were shut down as a result of, safety precautions not being met, etc., etc. But it seems kind of unrelated. Maybe in a roundabout way, they were related in some way, but it was very specifically because of a health code violation.
I'm sure it at least got people paid attention to it more, maybe, and were looking for quote unquote
That's
official reasons. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. That's kind of what I was thinking too. There is also a third story about a boy who was canoeing with his family on the lake, and he fell out at one point and he also drowned. But this is another one that I'm kind of hesitant to include because the vast majority of sources I found only mentioned Emmeline and George. And the ones that did mention the boy in the canoe were not super reputable sources, and there is no name or documentation or anything. So I personally can't tell if it's just an urban legend or if it actually happened. Regardless, it is part of the lore of this place. So I thought I'd include it just in case. I just don't have any more details from that. I don't know when it was or who it was or anything like that. So another one, if that is real and you do have information, let us know. icecreamusecreampod@gmail.com. So the lot sat empty for many years after they shut it down I think it would have been 1967 it was shut down. And then in 1985, a former employee named Gaylord White purchased the land with the intention of reopening the park, which he did, but it would only stay open for a year or two due to rising insurance costs. So nothing bad happened or anything like that. It just got too expensive to continue running, so they had to shut it down. One of the biggest renovations that he did when, he was getting the park ready to reopen was replace the original Ferris wheel that was put in the 1920s when the first iteration opened. And I will say, in the history of doing research for this podcast, the funniest disputes that I have found have been over this fucking Ferris wheel. People are like crashing out. It genuinely feels like kind of a Mandela effect or something like that, because there are so many people who are adamant that the park never had a Ferris wheel. It was installed in 85 or whenever the new one was reopening, and they're like crazy about it. And then there are others who are like, no, there was a Ferris wheel there the whole time, and like arguments ensue. Like the funniest internet arguments I've seen have been over this stupid Ferris wheel. What seems to be the case is there were two Ferris wheels, so both memories are correct. Like, we're all right. It's okay. There's the original one and then the replacement that a lot of people who are adults to this day remember, their dad's working on the project, or, they remember when it was put in. What they're not remembering is it was replacing an old Ferris wheel. It's as simple as that. So both things are true. Anyway, back to Gaylord White. This new iteration of the park closes immediately, like I said, but that does not deter him from creating a tourist getaway on the land. So he decides to use it for other things. One of the most popular things that the place was used for was a fishing tournament. Remember, it's right on the lake, Lake Shawnee. And he hosted it, and I think maybe still hosts it. Like, I don't know if it's a yearly thing or what, but there is some kind of fishing tournament that takes place there. It also has paths for dirt bikes and ATVs and stuff like that.
Fun.
Yeah, so it's kind of just an outdoor recreation area. I don't know if it's still happening to this day, but it definitely happened up until the early 90s when grounds crew workers were working one day and they uncovered numerous Native American artifacts and skeletons on the property that dated back to long before colonists arrived in the area.
Wow.
Yes.
You know what scares me even more than ghosts? My bank account, and especially saving for retirement.
If you feel the same way about your own retirement savings, fret not, little spoons, because we've got something to save you from yourselves.
Our friend of the pod, Chloe, aka Chloe Bear Money Coach, and founder of the Lazy Investors course, is teaching women how to build wealth without turning into a finance bro. If investing feels confusing, overwhelming, or just downright terrifying, download Chloe's free investing guide at getlazynow.com.
It walks you through how to build wealth the lazy way, which I can personally attest to because I've been using her services for many years, and you all know how lazy I like to be. Effort, gross, hate it. If you hate it too, visit getlazynow.com to grab the free investing guide from Chloe Bear Money Coach. That's getlazynow.com. So archaeologists from Marshall University got involved, and they spent several years uncovering additional artifacts and grave sites, things like that. In total, they would find the bones of 13 Native people, and most of them, if not all, I couldn't get a clear answer on this, but at least most of them were either children or elderly people. This is not a normal burial pattern for Shawnee people, so historians and, members of the Shawnee Nation theorize that the land may have been used as a spot to bury people who died during some kind of outbreak or something, because young people and elderly would be the most susceptible to something like that. We're just not totally sure. Regardless, what we do know is suddenly this land is a, quote, native burial ground site, and spooky capitalists love nothing more than legends about places on some type of native burial ground.
God.
So, yeah, suddenly it's like, oh, wow, this site isn't just creepy and run down, but it's also probably cursed. After the bones were found, White got an idea. He decides to open up to people looking for some Halloween fun by providing guided paranormal tours the week of Halloween. And this grew, of course, and word spread about this haunted rundown amusement park. And suddenly it wasn't just a place where people would want to go during Halloween, but it opened up to paranormal investigators and enthusiasts all year round. And that is what it has, I think, mostly been ever since. It's, a haunted tourist hotspot frequented by investigators, psychics, all kinds of people trying to figure out what happened there and still who hangs around, blah, blah, blah. It's been featured on numerous paranormal shows, Ghost Adventures, Scariest Places on Earth, and Jack Osbourne has a show called Portals to Hell, and he went there for that. I actually used that episode as one of my sources. So because of all of this and because of the order in which things happened, the authenticity of the park's, quote, paranormal reputation has been questioned since the, I'm going to say, quote unquote, beginning being, when he started turning it into more of a haunted location. It seemed like no one really talked about it being haunted until after they found the bones. So it kind of felt a little opportunistic to a lot of people. But finding the gravesite and artifacts isn't the full story. The history of the land actually gets a lot darker and a lot older than just a plot of unmarked graves, which is already quite dark. So we're going to rewind all the way back to 1775 when colonist Mitchell Clay and his wife Phoebe came over from England and became some of the first European settlers in what is now Mercer County. And they built a farm on that land that had long been used by Native American communities, again, particularly the Shawnee people. And the Clays reportedly had finally a family that beats my mom's, 16 children.
Oh, geez.
I think that's the most we've had on the show, right?
Boy, I
think so.
sure, I believe it. I think so.
Yeah. Anyway, things were mostly normal. They were just your standard homesteading farmer colonial family in Mercer County, West Virginia. The problem is that normal for this time period was very violent because the Clays were living on what was once Shawnee land, and the whole land stealing situation wasn't in the past at this time. It was actively happening. So this is when the colonists and native people were essentially at war with one another. And according to most versions of the Clay family story, Mitchell Clay had gone hunting one day in 1783 when a group of native warriors snuck onto the farm. And Clay children, Bartley and Tabitha, were reportedly killed and scalped while outside doing chores. And a third child named Ezekiel was taken captive. Some stories claim he was later burned at the stake. Others say he was freed after Mitchell got his revenge. I don't know which one is true. I don't know which one is more popular or widely accepted or anything. Those are just two different versions of the story. Mitchell's reaction is another thing that's widely contested. There are multiple versions of that story as well. Some versions say that Mitchell decided to be the bigger person and reached out to the Shawnee people to end the dispute once and for all. All he cared about was having a proper burial for his kids and just moving on. The other version of the story is that he rounded up all of his white neighbors and brutally murdered as many Shawnee people as they could find in return for the deaths of his children. Based on literally all of colonial history, I know which version I personally believe, but I'm going to leave that one for all of you to decide for yourselves. Regardless of how it happened and what happened after, the attack and murder of the children did happen. It is a true story. This really did happen. And it became one of the best known frontier tragedies in West Virginian history. Needless to say, extremely convoluted because it really is a great example of why people were so anti-Native for so long, because this was so newsworthy at the time that it happened. People were absolutely astonished, but it was one of those things where the reason it spread so far and wide so quickly was because this type of thing didn't really happen. But when you just hear this one story over and over and over again, it seems a lot more common than it actually was. This really was, I don't want to say an anomaly because I don't want to make it seem like it wasn't a violent time and everything was peaceful and everything was good. But it was just one of those situations where, because this was the story that was being shared, it gave people an excuse to be more violent toward the Native Americans. You know what I mean? It was one of those things that
Yeah.
perpetuated these stereotypes of like, violence and all of these things when, it really was a retaliation of other things that were happening. Not an excuse. I will never excuse, murdering innocent children.
I think the modern version of that in my mind is there's a lot of, I'll speak for the UK only right now.
Okay.
We're not going into the US. There's a
Smart.
lot there's a lot of anti-immigrant sentiment in the UK right now, and a lot of times it gets accelerated by news stories about one person who is an immigrant who broke the law, and so people will use that person as like a representation for the entire immigrant community in the UK, when in reality it was one person.
Yeah. This is the one thing that I latched onto so hard when I was in school because that so easily happens. There is a list of things that make something newsworthy. The number one thing is it's newsworthy. Like, it doesn't happen. It's astonishing. It's weird. It's out of the ordinary.
That's a good point.
You know what I mean? So, but when you see the news and you hear the news and you're just always hearing these weird and out of the ordinary thing because it's all you're hearing about, you think it's not out of the ordinary, This is a whole rabbit hole I'm trying real hard not to go down, but
Yep.
yes, it's a thing that has happened in all of time. This is not new to what we are experiencing today. And that's all I'll say about that. Okay.
La la
so,
la la la.
all of this is to say, this story was well known when the grounds crew found the bones. And once we get the full scope of the history that took place on this land, I personally very much do believe that it is haunted. This is the exact type of story that brings an energy that can stain a place. Even the fact that we're like so uncomfortable while talking about it now, like that energy is in the land. Do you know what I mean? So whether you want to call it ghosts or whatever you want to call it, this to me is a haunting story. And I don't just mean the story of the Clay family. Any site where there was a battle or a murder or any kind of violent energy, that's the type of thing that sticks. As I mentioned a little bit ago, Jack Osborne visited the location in 2021 for the show Portals to Hell, and he invited a Native American healer and medicine man named Miguel to tour the grounds with them and just, get the history of the place and all of that kind of stuff. He kind of alluded to the fact that, the grounds did have very negative energy. And I don't want to say he was saying the deaths at the park had to do with that negative energy, but the things he was saying very much suggested that negative attracts negative. So, there could be a correlation between just the type of energy this land holds on to, basically. I'm very much paraphrasing. I do recommend watching this episode. I really enjoyed it. And I don't want to go too deep into anything Miguel had to say. I think that everyone should just watch it. I thought it was a good episode. Anyway. So in addition to the park deaths we've already mentioned, Emmeline, George, and the possible canoe drowning, there is also an urban legend about two boys falling to their deaths from the Ferris wheel. There is no record of this at all, and even locally, it is kind of accepted as just a legend because I don't think that started circulating until long after the park had shut down, or possibly even after the 1980 iteration shut down. So this could have been something that was born out of the discovery of the bones. It is just an urban legend, but again, it's something that adds to the lore of the place. So it is something that circulates locally. Despite this being an urban legend, visitors do frequently report seeing apparitions in the Ferris wheel seats, specifically bucket number 10. So people will see a shadow of a person or two just kind of sitting there, but then when you look, it's gone type of situation. And even creepier to me than seeing the apparition is people claim they have seen and also heard the safety bars open and close on their own as if someone's getting in or out. I know, isn't that so creepy? The sound of metal scraping on metal is one of the grossest.
Makes my
and like
teeth itch. I can't.
It's okay. So we have a greeting card spinner at work that does that. And every single time I'm at the front desk and I hear someone spin it, I'm immediately transported to like Texas Chainsaw Massacre. I like crash out every time because it's such a spooky sound. I hate it.
Yeah.
Ugh.
Oh, that's funny.
But like, imagine hearing that. You're in this presumably haunted, rundown, old Appalachian Park in the middle of the night. Just heebie-jeebs. I literally can't.
That is
God.
that paints such a good picture.
Yeah.
That vibe. Oh my
Such a
gosh.
vibe.
Cool.
Like, don't get me wrong, such a great vibe, but awful vibe.
Yeah.
Horrendous.
Terrifying.
So another very common haunting at this location seems to be the apparition. I'm losing it. I can't. Apparition of Emmeline. People have claimed to see a little girl sitting on one of the swings, and this time it's not ambiguous. It's not just a shadow or a mist or anything like that. People say they can actually see a little girl as if there is an actual little girl sitting there. Some have elaborated to say that she's wearing clothing of the era. Some just state it's a little girl in a dress. Some don't really get a clear image of her. They just can tell it's the energy of a little girl. Another thing that really freaks me out, this is one of those things, even when I see like a video of it or something, I always lose my mind, is when swings move on their own, and that happens here. It'll be a perfectly still day. All of the swings are totally still, and you just see one of them moving back and forth and back and forth, and just so creepy. One of the most popular pieces of evidence that was captured here was from Portals to Hell. And while they were filming, one of the camera guys was filming the cars driving by. There's a road right on the edge of the park that you can see very clearly. And he was just recording the cars drive by, probably for, transition footage or something. He was just like filming whatever, And you see him move the camera, and as he's moving, there is a like silhouette or shadow of what appears to be a man. And the guy like freaks out and was like, oh my God, there's a person over there. And they all went to check, and there was nobody over there. That's when it's kind of picked apart a little bit. Like, it literally could have just been someone walking down the street, but I choose to believe it because, like, why not? And then beyond the shadows and phantom swings, people often claim to hear disembodied children's laughter and footsteps. Like, you can hear people walking around when no one is actually there. There's also, hate this one, and I don't know how recent this one is or how often people see it, but there's talk of a 7-foot shadow figure that is seen lurking on the edge of the tree line on the perimeter of the park.
All right. So Slender Man fucking lives there?
Okay, I literally was going to say, who does that remind you of? Yes. It has big Slender Man vibes. Yeah.
100%. With the swings and the kids and the... Oh, and I don't like that.
Oh my God, I know. I do not like that one. I don't.
No.
Also, I'm kind of just brushing past the fact that this is in the middle of the Appalachian Mountain Range. We're not really talking about that because it's not what this episode's about. But keep that in the back of your head. Like, we should all be scared of that, essentially.
Yeah.
One of the things that was most notable to me, and I think this kind of sums up the haunting energy really well, is a lot of people say that it feels like there is a large group of someone, people or whoever it might be, keeping an eye on the place. It feels like there's like people in the trees watching you. And some people think it feels ominous or bad or, negative energy. Other people, and I think as time goes on, more and more people believe that you are being watched to make sure that you are being respectful and that you are bringing good energy to the place, and those who are not bringing good energy to the place will experience negative energy. So it's very much one of those things where you get what you bring to the situation. One of the things that Miguel did recommend in that episode of Portals to Hell is if you do come, it's smart to bring some type of offering as like a thank you or just to show gratitude for being allowed on the land. And just basically, as long as you come with good intentions and you come with respect, things should be fine. It's just when people don't that things tend to go awry or negative energy seems to like follow people. It is now currently owned by a man named Chris, who is Gaylord's son. So his dad bought it back in 85 and now he runs it. He has said himself that he has had numerous paranormal experiences, most of which everything we've already kind of described. Shadows out of the corner of his eye, the feeling of being watched, just very base level experiences. I don't know if he's had anything big happen to him, but he has said that there is just definitely an energy on the land. It seems to me that it is now predominantly used for paranormal investigations and overnight stays. It is very popular for people to like camp out. Like people will bring tents and, you know, stay for the weekend and do ghost hunting and stuff like that. You will never catch me staying outside in Appalachia. I want to be very clear about that right now. I will literally never do that. Maybe if I had a camper or RV, I think that I would be into that. I would be okay with that. But there needs to be a door that has a lock on it in order for me to do some shit like that. You will never catch me in a tent in the Appalachian Mountain Range,
I'm
ever.
with you. I'm with you on that. I like tent camp. Like I like camping in a tent, but in Appalachia, I don't know. No.
Absolutely not. Yeah. 100% I would go during the day, absolutely. And like 80% would go overnight in an RV or camper, depending on who I'm with. But
too many spooky stories in that region.
It's way too many. Yeah, we'll do Appalachian stories one day. There's just too many that I feel like that's why I haven't pushed for that as a topic yet, because I'm like, we could just have a whole podcast on that. That is like so scary to me. I don't trust any of that shit. That's all I have for you. That's like Shawnee.
Well, damn.
Weird energy. Spooky energy.
That took so many twists and turns that I wasn't expecting.
I know, right?
Wow. Yeah. I want to ask, I need to text my dad because I wonder if he or anyone in our family ever went there because we have roots kind of around there. And when it was in its like amusement, like full on amusement park days, that's when my dad would have been like 10-ish, like just under 10. And so I wonder,
oh my God.
Maybe they went there. I don't know. I'll ask.
Wait, is your dad on Facebook? I wonder if he was part of any of those arguments I found. Oh my God. Wait, ask him his thoughts on the like Shawnee Ferris wheel.
Mike, there was no Ferris wheel. What's his last name? Oh, that's so funny. I'll ask. I'll ask him if he's been there, and I'll ask for his thoughts on the Ferris wheel for sure, and then I'll update you in the next
I'm interested in that.
Yeah,
cool.
Oh, dude, that was an interesting story. I'm gonna say I don't want to go to this one.
Okay, see, I really want to go to this one, but with the caveats of everything I just said. Like, I have parameters that must be met in order for me to be comfortable going there. I'm not big on outdoor hauntings because there's so much space for outside influence, but this one, I don't know. And people do say that the energy shifts drastically at night. Like, it gets significantly darker. Well, obviously, literally darker, but energetically heavier at night. But yeah, I don't know. I am curious. I do want to go there, mostly just for curiosity. I will definitely be scared while I'm there, though, I think.
Yeah, I would go if that 7 foot whatever it was not there.
Yeah.
That's what I can't. Nope. That's turning me off. Too big.
I'm kind of hoping that that's just like a shadow of a tree or something like that. That we're like,
a really tall guy whose property borders it. Yeah. If that is the case, my apologies, sir. You're not very scary. I'm sure you're lovely. But if it is some kind of 7 foot tall demonic entity, whatever the hell, I'm good. Yeah. I'm okay.
Yeah. Hey, do you have something special for me?
I do. And I'll tell you, you're not going to like this very much.
Great. Excellent.
So Tom and I recently-ish took a little trip across the water to Belgium. And
Ooh.
while we were there, we spent a lot of time in Bruges, of the movie In Bruges fame. And while we were there, we saw Spaniardstraat 17, aka the most haunted house in one of the best preserved medieval cities in the world. And I'm going to
What?
tell you its story.
I cannot believe you've been saving this all this time.
We literally were sitting outside this house staring at it, and Tom said this would make a great scary on top, and I said, "Yep." And then I've been biting my tongue, so I don't tell you about it
Wow,
since.
good job.
Thank
We've
you.
like literally been together in person since this.
I've been going through a
Wow.
lot, Catherine.
All right. Okay, I'm ready.
Not okay. Okay, so many, many years ago, the house used to be a monastery. And underneath this monastery, there were 4 tunnels running north, south, east, and west. Also, quick pause, I should say. Those tunnels, I don't know if they're real. This is just part of the story, so go along with it.
Okay.
One of the nuns who lived at the monastery was this, like, heart-wrenchingly, stunningly beautiful young woman, and she had an admirer. A monk lived nearby and had been in love with her for years. And every night he would use the tunnels to sneak into the monastery, where he would try and convince this nun to run away with him. He tried over and over and over again, and every single time the nun refused. Until one night he snapped. When she refused him this time, he pulled out a dagger and he stabbed her to death.
Oh no.
Yeah, so I told you would hate it. It's awful.
I do hate that.
Yeah.
What the F?
It's okay. You'll feel better by the end, I promise.
Okay.
He was immediately overcome with remorse, but it was too late. He snuck her body away to be buried, and the story goes that while she was welcomed into a blissful afterlife, the monk was not. His spirit would be chained to the monastery, forcing him to live with his betrayal for eternity. And people say he remains there even now. Apparently, people have been telling this story, or like a version of this story, since the 1400s, which is bananas.
Jesus Christ.
I know. And over that time, countless people have seen the monk's ghost in the house. Most of the reports are of him just kind of walking around, like walking through walls, walking through doors. But there are also reports of him saying things to people. And I have one quote here that said, quote, "Please pray for the unhappy soul I am so I can finally leave this place."
Wow.
No. Live with your
Absolutely
mistake.
not.
I shan't do that. Thank you. So yeah, the building stopped being used as a monastery a really long time ago, and it's now owned privately. So you can't actually go inside, which is
I was
sad.
going to ask if you were in. Oh, bummer.
Yeah, you can't go in. But interestingly, the word on the street is it's very rare for owners to last longer than a year or two, similar to La
Whoa.
Laurie.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I don't know how
my
long this
gosh.
most recent owner has had it, but that's like what people
Okay.
say about it, is that you never have it for long.
We could
And
find
that's-
sale records.
They're all in either French or Flemish or
Oh,
50
whatever.
million other languages. They speak so many languages in Belgium, man. It's really impressive.
icecreamyoucreambot@gmail.com if you speak any of the languages they speak in Belgium and want to help us find these records and then translate them, let us know.
Also, send us some
That'd be so
freaks.
cool.
Yeah, that would be cool. So yeah, that's
yeah.
the story of Spaniardstraat 17.
My God, I've never wanted to purchase property in Belgium before. This is new for me. I don't know. Like, should we do this? Like,
I think it's a great. Listen, if we have a podcast together, we can own property in Belgium together. It's basically the same thing.
it's the same thing. Yeah. Oh my God. New business goal. Everyone go join Patreon so that we can save up to buy a haunted location. That could be our studio. We fly to Belgium once a
Ooh.
month.
I feel like I might have an easier time with that than you.
Yeah,
You should just
well,
move here, and then it would be easy for you to get to Belgium.
Yeah. Or I could just move to Belgium.
No. Move into my house with me.
I just like live in the corner of your office. Oh, that's great. Oh my God. Well, I love that. What a great story. And also
Thank
not.
you.
It's a horrible story, but
It is a
I
horrible story,
am
but
happy that you know
interesting
it and shared it. Interesting. Yes, yes.
as well. Thank you for thanking me for the story.
You're welcome.
Did you thank me? I don't know.
I don't know if I did.
Thank you for enjoying the story. I think that's what I was trying to say. Anyway, if you listening have a story that you would like to hear at the end of an episode, feel free to send it to iscreamyscreampod@gmail.com. Also, you can feel free to become a Patreon friend. Link is in the show notes. But until next time, little spoons, keep it cool.
And keep it creepy.